Hello there, it's Siri here. I am so excited to share my first video of the year showcasing the amazing, truly spectacular bundle. So let's get started. So before we jump into the project, I want to go over the supplies that I will be using. I am using the truly spectacular bundle, decorative borders, sticky sheets, VersaFine clear ink, clear embossing powder, and an inspirational card from the Color Cube Volume 1. When I selected the card from the Color Cube, I really was looking for a masculine color palette. I thought the mixture of colors was very spot on, and I was able to find the perfect color pairing with TE cardstock collection. I used the colors pumpkin, blueberry, honey, red pepper, and cilantro. Using each of the cardstocks, I trimmed it down to fit into my die cutting machine and used decorative border die to cut a bunch of decorative stripes. Now going in with a sheet of sugar cube cardstock, I trimmed that down to 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. I am using a sheet of sticky sheets to place on one side of the card panel. I don't know about you, but I always have issues with my alignment, and this usually helps me out. I like using the corner of my score pal to help with aligning the sticky sheets to my card panel. I first place the sticky sheet against the corner of my score pal, then pull the adhesive backing down a little bit before I place my card panel against the corner of the score pal. As I pull down on my card panel, I will slowly pull back on the adhesive backing at the same time. Okay, so now I have all my decorative borders in a container as well as my sticky card panel. Instead of using liquid adhesive, I am using the adhesive from the sticky sheets. Now I will remove the second part of the sticky sheet backing to expose the adhesive that was placed onto the card panel. To create the background of my card panel, I am going in with stripes of colors from my pile of decorative borders, making sure to stay consistent with the placement of the colors. I started off by placing one of the strips off at an angle. I am first using the color pumpkin, then going in with the color cilantro. I place that against the pumpkin. The stripes will fall off to the side of the panel, but that's okay because I'm going to use my scissors later to trim that off the card panel. And I really love how each decorative border here has a different design on it. So it creates a lot of interest on the card panel. Now going in with my scissors, I'm just trimming off the side. I like to flip it upside down to see all of the exposed strips that are hanging off to the side. This makes it easier to trim off the pieces. Okay, so to create my focal point, I am using one of the glasses from the Truly Spectacular bundle. I am going to use a technique called partial die cutting. This technique is exactly what it's called. It's only partially die cutting a part of your dies. So you're going to need 2 cutting plates as well as your die and a cardstock, and using a manual die cutting machine. So here you can see that I went ahead and taped down my die to the card panel, and I'm placing that between 2 of my cutting plates. And I'm leaving part of the card panel hanging off of the cutting plate. So you can see here that whatever is underneath the cutting plate, that part is going to get cut because the pressure of the die cutting machine will cut that area out. So the part that's hanging off of the cutting plate, that part will not get cut or pressure from the die cutting machine. So I place it into my manual die cutting machine as normal with the part of the cardstock hanging off. And here you could see where it made the cut on the card panel. The top of the card panel did not create a cut. There was a little bit of an impression, and that's okay. But the bottom half, it's definitely partially cut. The top of the glasses is where it's still attached to the card panel. And I like doing this because it creates a floating look on my card design. So now going in with a ruler and an X-Acto knife, I am just cutting off the sides of the bottom portion of the card panel. Now going back in with the same glasses, I'm going to cut that out a few times in Oreo cardstock. I want to layer it on top of this part of the card panel to create dimension. So here is kind of the idea of what I want. So that's going to be on the top portion, and the glasses are going to seem like they're floating on top of the decorative borders. So for the lens of the glasses, I went ahead and die cut that out of vellum. But before I layer all of the black glasses together, I want to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I stamped that down on the upper portion of the card panel here, and I stamped that down using VersaFine clear ink. Then going in with a clear embossing powder, I sprinkled that on top of the inked area. Then using my heat tool, I heated that until it was nice and melted. Now using liquid adhesive, I am layering up all of the black frames on top of the white card panel. For the lenses of the glasses, I applied liquid adhesive to the inner part of the frames. Then I used the lenses and popped that in place. To help enhance the floating look of the glasses, I applied foam strip to the back. And of course, using the corner of my score pal again to help with alignment. I removed the backing of the foam strips and placed that against my score buddy. Then I placed a decorative border panel right on top of that. There you go. You can see that the glasses are somewhat floating on top of the background. And off screen, I did adhere this to a top folding card base. To add a little more detail, I am going in with a white gel pen and adding little dots and dash lines throughout the card panel. The Truly Spectacular bundle set comes with these little heart dies. So I went ahead and die cut that out of Oreo cardstock and applied it throughout my card panel. And this completes the card. I hope you found some inspiration. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to follow us on the channel to get notified of all future videos. Okay, until next time, I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.